No rockets, no missiles, only bare hands against an armed helicopter. This story is based on a real battlefield account involving 2 Vietnamese soldiers. For historical details and sources, please see the description below. A heavily armed American helicopter was seconds away from opening fire.
Target ahead. Beginning attack run. Hold altitude and stay steady.
Most soldiers would seek cover. One defender chose something entirely different. According to battlefield accounts, he saw a brief opportunity appear. Beside him, another defender waited for the right moment.
Then he did something almost impossible.
His hands locked onto the helicopter's landing gear. For a brief moment, man and machine became locked together.
We're losing stability! Pulling up! Pulling up now!
The helicopter's attack run instantly collapsed into confusion. At that exact moment, the second defender found a perfect firing angle. The cockpit glass was the aircraft's most vulnerable point. What followed became one of the most astonishing combat stories of the war. To understand the helicopter battle, we must rewind several hours earlier. Their mission was protecting a vital ammunition route near the Vu River.
Then an American reconnaissance aircraft discovered movement near the position.
Possible enemy position located. Transmitting coordinates for immediate action.
Within minutes, artillery batteries received the target coordinates.
Death arrived long before enemy soldiers reached the battlefield. The entire riverbank vanished beneath a storm of artillery fire.
2 defenders were killed almost instantly by the bombardment. The defensive position was nearly destroyed within seconds. Against all odds, one defender survived the devastating barrage. A second survivor emerged from the destruction, ready to fight. Only 2 defenders remained to protect the position. Before the smoke cleared, another threat appeared overhead. The helicopters arrived faster than the defenders expected.
They landed less than 20 meters from the survivors.
An entire assault force poured onto the battlefield.
The defenders faced overwhelming numbers and almost impossible odds.
There would be no retreat and no reinforcements today. Their entire arsenal consisted of 2 rifles and 3 grenades. Every bullet would need to be used with absolute precision. The enemy was closing in from every direction. No words were needed. Both men understood the situation.
The attackers believed the battle had already been won.
Then the defenders made their stand. Two rifles suddenly unleashed a deadly wall of fire.
The sudden burst of fire caught the assault force completely off guard.
What seemed like an easy victory instantly became a deadly firefight. Despite serious wounds, one defender maintained remarkable accuracy under pressure. His companion matched every attack with calm and precise fire. Every attempt to close the distance ended in immediate failure. Two defenders were delaying an entire assault operation.
How many enemy troops are firing from that position?
The defenders constantly changed positions to create confusion. The attackers struggled to determine the defenders' true numbers. The illusion of a larger force became increasingly convincing. The battle became a brutal contest of endurance and survival.
Hour after hour, neither side gained a decisive advantage.
Pain and exhaustion were beginning to take a terrible toll. Every remaining round became more valuable with each passing minute.
Ground assault is stalled. Request immediate helicopter support. Air support requested. Enemy resistance remains active.
A far greater threat was now approaching the battlefield. The infantry had failed. The helicopters would now take over.
Ground units are pinned down. Beginning support operations.
Steel and fire descended from the sky above them. The defenders understood the battle was entering a new phase. The air assault began with devastating suppressive fire. The defensive position disappeared beneath a storm of bullets. Survival now depended on enduring the aerial bombardment. Then one helicopter descended dangerously low, creating an unexpected opportunity. The helicopter dropped lower, preparing to finish the defenders once and for all. The defenders were running out of ammunition, options, and time. The gunship dominated the battlefield with overwhelming firepower. Then one wounded defender noticed something unusual about the attack.
The helicopter descended lower than any previous attack run.
A desperate opportunity suddenly appeared amid the chaos. According to battlefield accounts, he made a split-second decision. Meanwhile, his companion prepared for a shot that might never come again.
Stay low. Finish this pass. We have them pinned.
Everything depended on the next few seconds.
Instead of hiding, he charged directly toward the aircraft.
His hands locked firmly onto the helicopter's landing gear.
For a brief moment, man and machine became locked together.
We're unstable. Correcting now. Hold her steady.
The carefully planned attack instantly collapsed into confusion. At that exact moment, the second defender found a perfect angle. The cockpit glass offered the aircraft's most vulnerable target. A burst of rifle fire raced upward toward the cockpit.
Mayday! Stay! Taking fire! We've lost control!
The helicopter rapidly lost control over the battlefield. Seconds later, the gunship exploded in a violent fireball.
The battlefield descended into confusion and shock.
But despite the victory, the battle was far from over. The loss of the helicopter stunned the attacking force. Soon, additional helicopters arrived to recover the wreckage.
The enemy quickly attempted to regain control of the battlefield.
Despite severe wounds, he continued searching for another opportunity. One helicopter landed dangerously close to the defenders. According to battlefield accounts, he began moving toward the helicopter. His final weapon was a single grenade and a desperate plan. Bleeding heavily, the wounded defender crawled toward another helicopter through smoke and fire.
The enemy focused entirely on recovering the destroyed aircraft.
No one noticed the wounded defender moving through the chaos.
The confusion created one final opportunity for attack. His final weapon was simple, but potentially devastating. The grenade sailed through smoke toward the helicopter.
Grenade! Move! 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 Get out now!
Seconds later, another helicopter erupted in flames. The recovery operation instantly descended into chaos. The surviving helicopters immediately pulled away from the danger zone. The defenders continued fighting, despite impossible odds. The air assault was finally losing momentum. Against all expectations, the position was still holding. But the battle still had one final chapter remaining. Hours of combat had pushed both men beyond their limits. Their ammunition was nearly exhausted. Every remaining bullet suddenly became priceless. The defenders waited for the next attack.
The battlefield slowly disappeared beneath smoke and twilight. Then fate delivered one final and devastating blow.
Another artillery round slammed directly into the position.
Shrapnel swept through the trench with lethal force. The battle had finally reached its cruelest moment.
Ignoring his own wounds, he rushed toward his companion.
After surviving impossible odds, the two defenders faced their final tragedy.
The wounded defender reached his companion as the battlefield slowly fell silent. The victory they fought for had come at a terrible cost.
The soldier who helped stop the helicopters would not leave the battlefield.
For the first time that day, grief overcame the instinct to survive. His ammunition was gone. Only 3 rounds remained.
The enemy continued searching for the surviving defenders.
Then he made one final decision. He refused to leave his fallen companion behind. Every step demanded strength he no longer possessed.
Movement near the river! Move in now!
The river became his final path to survival. With his remaining strength, he entered the current. The battlefield slowly disappeared behind them. Pain, blood loss, and exhaustion finally took their toll. For kilometers, the river carried him through darkness and uncertainty. At sunrise, local villagers found him barely alive.
Against every expectation, he had survived the impossible. The battle soon became one of the most remarkable wartime accounts.
Decades later, the memories remained as vivid as ever.
Time could not erase the faces of those who never returned.
For years, he searched for comrades still missing from the war.
The mission that mattered most began after the fighting ended.
Many are still waiting to come home. I cannot forget them.
Their sacrifice became part of a legacy carried across generations.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more declassified military history.